Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock and join us in the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, I would like to entertain a motion for the selection of a new chair to your board. Does anyone have any nominations?
I'll nominate Jim Dealey.
Second.
Do you want to speak to your motion? Are you interested in
I
serving as chair?
will do it.
Are there any other nominations?
We choose the vote.
Okay, hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations. It's your meeting.
All right. Our next point of order is the board reorganization. We have a number of different positions which, well, first I'd like to welcome Nate Oxnard to the board. And I would like to, we have a number of different positions that we need to fill here. I don't think it wasn't on Sakai, the list, so we should just go down. Some of these roles require more time, some require less, some vary, but
It is in April.
there we go. So the first one, last year, vice chair. I was the vice chair last year. Is there someone who would be interested in being vice chair this year? Zach? So, should we make a motion for each individual position, or do?
Probably, since you have a lot of reorganization, I would say.
Okay, so we need a motion for Zach.
I motion for Zach to take vice chair.
We have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Zach is the vice chair. Next position, MDC representative. Last year it was split between Peter and Zach. What's the wish of the board on MDC representative? Anyone interested in that one?
I don't mind doing it, having seen it once.
Okay.
I can jump into that.
All right. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Selectmen's representative. Last year Shelley was the selectmen's representative.
Next.
You're comfortable still doing that?
Jim, should we need an alternate for the ABC?
Probably a good idea to have
It'd
one.
be probably a good idea to have them.
I'll take it.
Okay. So we're gonna have to go through this each time. Motion to,
I move Shelley as the alternate for the ABC.
second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, selectmen's representative, Shelley, you said you'd do that again?
Yes.
I move Shelley Tetro for selectmen's representative.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? SAU Executive Board. This was Kevin. I'm willing to do this.
Zach had a good time.
Zach had a good time? I agree. It's up to you.
You are more than welcome to. I was taking suspicion the budget will tie up enough of my time.
Figured.
I move Jim Dealey for SAU Executive Board Representative.
Aye. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Negotiations. We are entering a year where I believe we have no
Paraprofessionals?
Paraprofessionals again. All right. Paraprofessionals, I did the paraprofessional contract last time, I'd be happy to sit in on it again. Anybody else want to?
Happy to.
It is usually a during the day type situation.
I can do it
If you want to take a run at it? Or?
if you can. I'm happy several,
It's
during the
usually,
day.
It's after, paras are usually after
Oh,
school.
it's after school. Oh, it's after school, yeah.
Teachers are,
Teachers are morning.
we met a couple of times during the day. Yeah, but I think after school is okay.
I do that.
Okay. So,
Do we need two for the,
for negotiations? Yeah.
no, Jim said he'd keep it.
so I move Nate Oxnard and Chip Neely for the negotiations.
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Transportation. Happy to pass this one on if someone would be interested. Or if you're not interested, I'm happy you do. Are we coming into a contract year with Dale?
I'm not sure what's left on that. I think this might be our last year.
So it would,
We have 5 year.
so there would be, it would ramp up this year, so it would probably start looking at
It's a
the,
good year for
start negotiating with transportation options. So, anybody interested?
I will do it if needed.
Do you want it?
I will do it if needed.
What else do we have?
We still have a number of positions to fill. I'm happy to stay with it. You want, I'm happy to stay with it unless you want to do it, Zach.
I can,
All right, give it to Zach.
okay.
So,
We're just gonna
I'll
give it
move
to
that we,
I'm not gonna move myself, so.
shall we,
I'll move to put Zach.
I'll second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Manifest review is, oh, sorry. Curriculum review.
I nominate Nate Oxnard.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Manifest review is the next one. We have Shelley and I are doing it. Basically involves signing off usually once or twice a week on the manifest.
It seems from an accessibility standpoint, we both have easier access to it.
Right.
So I will, if you both comfortable continuing with it,
It's pretty straightforward.
I will, I nominate Shelley Tetro and Jim Neely for manifest review.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Shelley?
Aye. Sorry, I was writing. Can't think of it.
Maintenance. Zach, you did maintenance.
I can continue with that.
Would you like?
Yes.
Motion to put Zach in for maintenance?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? The New Hampshire School Board Association delegate. I did this last year. It didn't really involve much last year.
What is it?
It's a liaison from the board to the School Board Association.
Scrub that part down.
Yeah.
Happy with that.
All right. So we have a
Motion to put Nate in for the NHSBA?
second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Public relations. Peter did this last year and has done a great job of this for years. Peter, you'd like to do that?
I nominate Nate Oxnard for public relations.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Concord School Board reps. Shelley and I were on the list here. We want to keep doing
I'll
it?
keep doing
Anyone else who'd like to take that? All right, I'll be in there with you.
Nominate Jim Dealey and Shelley Tetro for Concord School Board reps.
it. Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sick bank. This is pretty straightforward. You gotta, well, sometimes it's not straightforward. But,
This one was.
yeah, the last one was. It only came up once in this last year, but sometimes it's complicated according to Paul. The last one was straightforward. Anybody interested in, it's usually a meeting during the school day, correct?
Usually it's after school.
Usually
This one
after
was
school.
during the day because of payroll time.
Okay.
Usually it's after school.
So, anybody want to do that?
Shelley and Tetro.
Sure.
Nominate Shelley Tetro for sick bank.
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We have alternative high school options up there as well.
We have our long-term contracts, so we haven't filled that spot. I don't think we need to. I'm not looking at any other high schools, so we're good.
Okay. Is that the feeling of the board as well? Okay. Parent forum representatives, we haven't filled that one either?
Might be added.
I don't know, can you describe that one a little bit for us?
Sure, for a short time, we were doing parent forums periodically throughout the year, and those discontinued, so the position was filled. We could put someone in there so that if we have one, it's
Right.
filled.
So,
I'm happy.
yeah, all right.
You said parent forum?
Parent forum,
Nominate Nate Oxnard for the parent forum representative.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sabbatical committee, Zach?
How do I go back? Can I, since
You're already in.
All right, all right. So go back to alternative high school options.
Yes.
I mean, if we have no parent forum, but might as well have anything in there. Obviously, we're in the high school contract right now. Do we, if something, I don't know the term, the language is in the contract. If something comes up, is it worth having something in that?
No, this is just for a year. These are reorganized every year,
Okay.
and there's nothing to negotiate right now with high school.
Okay. So
There won't be anything.
Sabbatical committee. Zach, you did
I'll
that?
jump right on.
All right. So you get a nomination for Zach?
Nominate Zach.
second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Technology liaisons. Shelley and I did that. We've been doing that for a couple of years.
I think the workload of that may increase over the next year with phone systems and figuring out, and most certainly the two most suited to handle that on board, are the two of you sitting on the left.
I'm fine staying here.
I'm fine with it. Okay.
I nominate Jim Dealey and Shelley Tetro for technology liaison.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that takes care of
We're good.
officers and committees. Next on our agenda, minutes of March 2nd, 2016. What is the wish of the board?
Luke is written.
Second.
Are there any corrections, discussion? It'll take a minute to go through. Sure.
With the mayor, I should be abstaining, I would imagine.
Yeah. Any other corrections? Seeing none, we'll go to the board on the minutes. Approve the minutes. And so, two, and I say aye as well. One abstention. We're on to immediate business, citizen staff comments. This is,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
Kevin Burrow, 1 Buchanan Road, just a couple of quick comments. It's disappointing that you send letters like this on warning of anxiety caused to 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old kids due to an exam that half the people in this town that voted in the last election would do away with today if they're 49.6%. Would do away with today if they had the option. Yet, we refuse as a district to send a simple note home informing parents of their right to refuse their child's participation in the Smarter Balance assessment. I think that note should go home, and I think it's especially important that it go home from the school because of misinformation that's been provided in comments from both the board and the administrators, because we decided we were going to play a semantic game with you can't opt out, so we can all agree we can't opt out, but we can refuse. That's our right. There's no question about that. Letters have been sent home in many other districts. And so, given what I would characterize as misinformation, we should correct that record and just let people know that they have that right. And why we wouldn't do that simple exercise, I really don't understand. I'd love to hear somebody address that later. I know you're going to discuss the warrant articles later, and I certainly want to. Article 6 had yes votes of 49.6%, 50.4% no. So the members of the community, given the choice, would abandon both Common Core and Smarter Balance. 7, the only thing that got 365 no votes was the 5th bullet point, and that's to blindly, that's my language, follow education standards adopted by the state of New Hampshire. Common Core state standards are the only standard set adopted by the state of New Hampshire that are not locally developed. When I say locally, I don't mean Deerfield, I mean at the New Hampshire state level. So you can call Concord, Department of Education, you can inquire about that. All the other sets of standards were locally developed. They are not from lobbying groups, Washington, D.C., think tanks, national one-size-fits-all models. And that's what makes them the outlier. And they're controversial, and though we had people do some research, our experts in language and math, they were very dismissive of the counterpoint set out by people like Dr. Milgram, Dr. Stotsky. I will again offer to this board and to the community at large, we can bring in Dr. Milgram, Dr. Stotsky, other experts on both PACE, Smarter Balance, Common Core, just to hear their point of view. And maybe that would be a good use for the parent forums, is to bring people from the state, right? Ms. Gage will come down from the state, I'm quite certain, she came down in Northwood, and we can get other experts in here to just hear both sides. Let's at least have some public hearings on it, when half the people would dump it today, if they had the option. Thank you.
Any other comments from the public? Agenda review. Any changes to the agenda? Yes, Paul.
There was an oversight. The CL wanted to be able to share with you a request for building use. It's in the verb on the left half of the agenda. So
Okay, should we?
she will do a presentation.
Where should we put her, under informational or under?
There's probably a
There's a
request
lot to go over before then. So, under immediate business?
Yeah.
We could put it right after the agenda review. Is the rest of the board okay with that? Okay. Anything else on agenda review?
The appointments and resignations is no longer 2, it is now 5.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Okay. Ms. Yell, you are on.
Alright, I wrote a letter on the front of this, talking about what it is that I'm looking for. I have, for the past 6 years, been developing a gymnastics program at the school. And if you look on the next couple pages, there's kind of a timeline of what I've been through. I started off as a cheerleading coach, and I didn't have the skills quite yet to do gymnastics on my own, so I brought in someone outside of school, George West, and he was the owner and a coach, and he had 15 years of experience, and he was kind of teaching the girls, and I spent 2 years volunteering with him, learning how to coach gymnastics. He later left, and is still, at that point, the kind of gymnastics program at school halted. Before he left, we opened it up to K-8, not just my cheer team, and it started to really develop. He left, but I wasn't quite ready to be on my own yet, so I went to work at another gym. I went to the Prime Gym, and I worked there for a year, and then I took some Cumberland classes. Then I did 5 classes online to continue my program. And then from there, I took off with Parks and Rec and have been teaching gymnastics through Parks and Rec for the past 4 years. The problem with going through Parks and Rec, which I've really been struggling with, is his commitment hasn't been what mine has been. So if he's kind of in and then he's out and then he's in and then he's out. And just recently, the last gymnastics program, last session that I held ended in November, and I've been waiting, it's now April. And I keep going to him like, when are we going to do it, when are we going to do it? And he finally just said to me like, listen, like, this is not something I want to take on. He's got a lot of other stuff on his plate, so he's kind of backed out. And I'm really, really sad to see the gymnastics program go, because I've really been working for the past 6 years. I've had 76 kids go through my program at this point. I've also brought in 5 former students who are either in high school or college now that have volunteered with me and have had leadership programs to learn how to coach. And I actually had one girl came to me, Rimby Buckner, the other day. She's now in college, and she said that she started her own gymnastics program through the YMCA, which I thought was really cool. And that's all from what she's learned from me. I continued on the next page how the gymnastics program has been in alignment with the national standards for physical education. Each national standard, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, how they connect with what I'm doing in PE, how they're developing coordination, motor skills, transfer weight. You can kind of read through those, all the way through developing fitness, learning social skills, teamwork, discipline. It's been a very valuable program. On the next page after that, I've not only been able, the development that I've had in this program has allowed me to teach gymnastics in the classroom. That's a really difficult thing to be able to teach safely, to be able to spot gymnastics skills. It's a liability on the school, so it's really important to be able to have a teacher that's proficient at teaching gymnastics if we are going to be implementing it. A lot of PE programs have gotten rid of it. And now I feel really competent and able to teach that gymnastics program. And so I did a little, my assessment, I leveled them off, which is something I learned, to not let them be doing level 3 skills if they're only a level 1, it's really important to have the activities be developmentally appropriate. So I assessed each kid at the end of the unit, and I showed that 45% were level 1 still, 41 were level 2, all the way up to, well, only 1% were in the level 6. But on the very last page, I showed a graph of the students that were the ones that were in my program, opposed to just any general student, performed higher. So it showed that my program was having an effect on their skills, and that they're able to learn the skills better by having that outside program. I know one of the questions would be, why isn't this going, like, could this be part of the enrichment program, which I value very highly. To be honest, this has been an important income for me. The income that I've been taking in through this program has allowed me to start a volleyball team this year. I was able to coach cheerleading. I was able to be on GLL, so achieve professional development, and also I'm part of the enrichment program. I'm leading Joker Club and looking to do a sign language thing. So to be able to be part of all those things and not get an outside job, this has been an important income for me. The school, the building use fee to be on my own. Through going through Parks and Rec, the fee was waived, but to be on my own, the policy states that it's $50 per hour to rent the gym and $75 per hour to rent the cafeteria. And I'm looking for that fee to be waived for me. And I'm looking to do 2 hours of classes a week. That's going to take a half an hour of setup before and half an hour after. So 3 hours a week of either in the gym or the cafeteria. Sessions will run every 6 weeks with a break in between and not run on vacation weeks. And I'm also I'm very interested in doing a 1-week-long summer camp, which I have done through Parks and Rec at the town hall, but I don't think that will be an option for me anymore. In exchange for using the space and equipment, I would like to contribute $300 worth of gymnastics equipment every year, which is something unfortunately was talked about through Parks and Rec but didn't happen. But I would like to make that happen. And I would like to increase that amount to $500 instead of $300 if I am able to offer a summer camp, a week-long summer camp, which I think would be really great. In the event that we don't need gymnastics equipment, like we have quite a bit already, but I would like to add some new stuff, but if it hits the point where we don't need any, I'd like to still contribute that money into the PE department. So that's what I'm asking.
Okay.
Oh, and I also have, just real quick, I do carry my own insurance, so I have the form here, and I have the application for a buildings form filled out as well. So I don't know what else I need to do from here to continue the program.
Thank you for your presentation. Since this wasn't on the agenda and you guys want to think about it you want to read through and think about it? Or is there a wish of the board to make a decision? What are your thoughts?
I like to think about it. Can I get a little information first about
Sure.
things like, is there a precedent, for a private person to come in and offer these kinds of services? What is the current policy?
So, the policy is, actually,
I was pulling it up.
the policy is KF, which, right, it's actually on the agenda, if we're gonna talk policy today. It's been on the agenda continuously for how long? So it's complicated in trying to balance community benefit and personal profit and organizations coming in. And, we changed it last summer, I think? October of 2015. And we have had one group come in, the travel basketball. Parks and Rec decided they didn't want to run travel basketball, and they had them spin off on their own, and they came in and asked for a waiver of fees so that they could run a travel basketball program, and we did approve that. That was a organization that was just covering costs. It wasn't an organization that was bringing income. So,
I guess I have a couple of foods for thought more than anything else. I love, it seems like we're seeing Parks and Rec participate less and less with programs that they have been doing, and they're trimming programs and they're doing less and less. It's, the purpose of Parks and Rec is to provide activities to the kids in town and services. And when they start trimming programs, it obviously has an impact. So, I mean, I'd love to know what the logic from Parks and Rec is as to why they discontinue the program or why they stop the program. It seems like Parks and Rec is always, can we use the gym, can we use this, can we use that, can we use this? We give them free use of the building, free use of the facilities, and we let them, I don't want to say take advantage of it, but we give them unlimited access to Parks and Rec. And when they start pulling programs or they're taking programs that are working and they're being participated in, that bothers me. If it's a time crunch for Parks and Rec, well, then they need more help, they need to figure that out. But, we start pulling.
I think there's two folds there. I mean, there's programs and there's programs that are bringing in income. So I think maybe we do need to speak to John.
Jasmine, do you have anything you wanted to add about why Joe wanted to not run this program anymore?
I don't really know. He said that he doesn't want to maintain it right now, and he's got too much on his plate. He was doing the food classic. It's just, and even when it would be a middle and needless middle person, because I would have to go to him and then wait, and then he would go to Cindy instead of just being able to say, hey, Cindy is the gym available at this point?
Okay.
And it was based on everything else that he had going on, that he'd be like, oh, maybe in another month, or maybe another 2 months. And it just really impacted what I was able to provide for the kids. Gymnastics is something that should be continuous, and having big gaps, they lose the progression that they learned with developing their muscular skills and things like that. One last thing that I do want to add is that in the building use form, that the way that it my understanding of it is that if it relates to the school goals, then that fee can be waived. And that was really what I was trying to show you through what I shared, is that how it relates directly to the PE curriculum and how it's being used.
Okay. So, it's the wish of the board. Do you guys want to talk about this later? Okay. All right. I don't think we're going to have a decision for you tonight.
Okay. Is that something that will be discussed next time, or?
Yes.
Okay.
We can definitely have, is it realistic for us to have a decision for her in the next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'd also, I'd like to know more from Joe. I'd like to talk to Joe, or I don't know if this is separate from you, but just do it with Parks and Rec in general. If we need to talk to the Parks and Rec Commission about having a seat at their table
I'll go sit.
to help figure that out.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Menard,
I apologize.
you missed all the assignments.
What's that?
You missed all the assignments.
I penciled you in for something.
Could I ask the board's indulgence and make a statement?
Yes, you can.
And,
Is everyone okay with that?
pardon me?
Yes.
So, in fact, this is a perfect example. I remembered where it was, but I didn't apparently pick up when it was. But my father has been on this board, my mother has been on this board. I've been lucky enough to be on this board. Sometimes your luck changes. And lately, I've been going to scans, medical scan reports, and I'm like the old junker car. They say, well, you're still alive, but to get you back on the road, we need to, 3 months ago, work on your exhaust system. 2 months ago, clean up the fluid in your lungs. And tomorrow morning, they're going to clean up my kidney or something like that. for this reason and from the fog that made me miss this meeting, the first part of it, regretfully, I'm resigning from the school board effective immediately. And in fact, I have to go down, because we have to be there early in the morning tomorrow. We go down tonight, where I'm staying as a child. Actually, we'll be leaving as soon as I'm through my statement, if that's okay with the board. And if the board will indulge me on one piece, I'd like to give one piece of advice that I've been amazed at the range of activities that we've had to deal with. You know, from the gym floor to the snow on the roof to fixing the price for the lunch, to dealing with national issues in education policy and so on and so forth. If this board is lucky enough to have 2 candidates to replace me, I'd suggest, in my opinion, a person with a wide range of and flexibility would be advisable. A candidate with tunnel vision on one issue, I think would be a detriment to this board. Take up a lot of time and so on and so forth. That may be academic, and it's only my opinion, but I'd like to offer it to this board. Furthermore, if there's anger and a disagreement with my advice, to the board, direct it to me. I stand by my advice and I'll accept the responsibility for it. But that said, I'm resigning for health reasons. I've enjoyed it, but I need more energy for other things. And I can't show up meetings late. So,
I'm very, very sad to hear that. And you've been a great asset to this board and a great thinker and just a fantastic person to be on the board with. I'm terribly sorry to hear that things aren't great. Could we take a 5-minute recess? I'd like to take, can we have a motion for a 5-minute recess? 5-minute recess. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Order at 6:41. All right. Well, first chair meeting, all right. So we were on to consent items. We have a couple of consent items.
Yes, just one
Okay.
thing. You have a request for child rearing leave and to the end of the 2015-2016 school year for unpaid leave.
Did everyone get that in Sakai? Okay. What is the wish of the board? On leave for, is this for Erica? Amadita? Rodney?
Yes.
We need a motion?
I move to approve the leave as requested.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. Board reports. Executive board report, Patty?
Well, I was on there, but
Zach?
Zach actually did come to the meeting. If I can do the report if you want, though.
I didn't prepare anything, so I saw your name on there. I can win it if you'd like.
That's okay. We had one meeting, and as you know, Kevin was your representative to the executive board, so Zach filled in for him. the one point of interest for all of you is that tomorrow night for the SAU board meeting, there's going to be an item on the agenda to discuss the AREA agreement that the other sending towns have with Pembroke Academy. So we asked that that be put at the end of the agenda so that the Deerfield board could be dismissed and not have to stay to be part of a discussion that doesn't pertain to all of you. So feel free, at the end of the meeting, when that item agenda comes up tomorrow night, feel free to head out. The meeting is 6 o'clock at the Pembroke Academy Library tomorrow evening, and we will be nominating SAU staff. I think at the exec board meeting, we made a couple of minor changes to the contract agreement to change sick days, and we added a couple of different health plans for the Affordability Act, the RED plan, and then an increased co-pay plan as an offering, and that's about it.
That would need, sick bank.
Right, and we approved allowing them to establish a sick bank, and wording for that will be proposed at the next meeting. Thank you.
All right. Principal's report, Mr. D'Angelo.
We have a bunch of things tonight. The first one is that I'm not sure the sequence of events of what we shared with the board with regard to our process of applying to become a PACE school, but we have been accepted, and since that time, we did have a conference call with the Department of Education to find out next steps as we explore what would we gain the district from participating in the program, and what are the underlying issues that we really need to attend to. Unfortunately, during the conference call, I ended up having to leave the conference call during the grandparents' day, so I was tied up. And Patty was able to sit through the entire thing, so I'm going to ask if Patty can just fill in the gaps where we're at.
We don't have a lot of information at this point, but we were interested to know when they sent the letter of acceptance, we were assigned a consultant, and we had a few questions about what this would mean for us, what would next year look like. We were accepted at a tier 2 level because of the outstanding competency work that has been done thus far. Next year, what they shared was that it would basically be an entire year of professional development, so we would have a consultant assigned to us. I believe I think they said 18 to 19 days on site with us, as well as other opportunities to send people to trainings, to have webinars. We would have a leadership team in the school, and we would basically be trained on how to develop our own local assessments, with the opportunity in the second year to, depending on how the work goes, to start implementing our own local assessments on alternating years instead of using Smarter Balance. And those would need to be approved assessments. So the process next year would be getting more professional development at no cost. We have a couple of things that, there's a summer institute this year at Sanborn, and we did seek grant funding to send a team to that. So there's a couple of days that we'll be doing that. And then there's a video that I was made aware of that we're looking at getting sponsored here. It's a 90-minute video, and there's a complete discussion guide. I think it's called Most Likely to Succeed, but I didn't write it down. And it's something that you show the community, and then you have a conversation afterwards, and it's about competency-based learning. So we're looking into hosting that as well, getting that sponsored.
And some participation in the state summer summit.
Yes,
Summer summit,
Yes.
Summer.
that was the one we saw grant funding for.
besides the presentation, we can have stuff that we can.
Yeah, I'm assuming they're going to have, they're gonna put together a schedule of what the professional development would be, set up dates and times for the webinar. So we don't really have anything at this point. They're gonna start putting that all together for the next year.
Are we gonna give the community enough time to attend multiple meetings with the parents and stuff?
Sure, we can set up whatever we'd like.
I think we should give them enough notice so that they can't make one and then decide.
That would be a good role for our current liaison.
I'm just looking at my sign like, no.
So at this point, it's professional development, but I think that we're interested, Paul and I are interested in knowing whether we have, in general, the support of the board to move forward, and you know, we're gonna obviously put in the year of work. It's good training, it's professional development, but are you supportive in general of the concept of developing our own assessments and learning how to do that?
I think doing our own assessments is great, but I'd like to have more information. Personally, I don't want to be blindsided by anything outside of this typical.
Yeah, sure.
I have some questions about this idea of switching from the standardized smarter balance test to this where basically teachers, as far as, I mean, obviously there's more to it, but there must be more to it. Teachers are testing their own kids on content that they're teaching. And it seems like there's a lot of potential for losing the standardization or the standardized element of that. And so then how do you, I think one piece of a standardized test or whatever, one piece of smart balance would be to have a tool, not the only tool, but a tool to evaluate how teachers, how the curriculum, how effective that is. And so I would have questions, I guess, about that,
I agree with Nate.
where this is going, and I would love to, I don't have more information on what this
Sure,
is.
of course.
And I understand that we're the first state in the nation, and so that is exciting, but at the same time, there's a lot of questions that I don't know what the form would be by which we could get more information on this.
We're all interested in getting more details for certainly.
Is there a value to next year's professional development if we choose not to participate the following year?
I believe so from what the overview that we've been given so far. It's, since we're writing competencies and we're doing competency-based grading, I think that work would all be valuable, whether or not we
Use it.
decide to do that.
And there is a big push on performance assessments, competencies. We have been working with teachers to create performance assessments in order to really be able to see what the kids know, what we expect them to know, what we expect them to be able to do. The problem is, like you said, if you're creating your own performance assessment for your own kids in your own classroom, there's some bias here. Participating in something like this gives you an opportunity to be able to get outside feedback. So the rubrics that you would use in order to be able to assess the kids are more standardized. You get feedback from a lot of other people to make sure that there's less bias, and to also make sure that the performance assessments are rigorous and that they're consistent and that they're actually assessing the content of the model. It's the opportunity to really tap into a larger group of educators that can provide feedback to you.
I have a question, I'd like to know, because if you have good conversation as well regarding the smarter balance testing and the fourth grade, it came in pretty well. I think we were talking about that. It was known, so I guess if that's continuously, so we have a tool in place for a local assessment, and we know it's going to be an issue, and great, we have an assessment, but now what are we going to do to get those students the help we need? So we're not testing again in
Well,
fifth grade.
The challenge is as soon as you run away from what you pull as become your standard, you've
Right.
lost your ability to get your results. And see if it's a fourth grade issue or if it's next year a fifth grade issue and so on and so forth. So that's,
No, what I'm saying is, we had the smarter balance test last year in the fourth grade, who's now fifth grade.
right.
We had it, we scored really great, and as far as statewide goes, we scored really poorly on that. My question was, what's happening there? And the statement was, well, we knew it was gonna happen. And I said, well, okay. So I was baffled, I looked at everybody. So I wanna know, I mean, obviously, these kids hopefully are getting the help that they need. We know that that class in particular is a very big class. I don't know if I can put the right wording, but it's a class that has a lot of kids in it, let's just say. So as a parent, and as parents out there who have these children in the fifth grade, and we're looking at smarter balance, we're seeing resistant fourth grading, in terms of smarter core, common core, and smarter balance. Okay, so now we have tools in place for local assessments, but I'm gonna look at it from the other side. If they score poorly, then now we got another whole year out. So if they're gonna score poorly, that's great. What can we do to put in place to help these kids out to get caught up on their math? That's my question. What can we do? I don't know.
One of those pieces is next on the agenda, Brian's mentioned about restructuring to help those kids.
Please.
But remember that the assessment is Smart balance assessment is really a curriculum-based assessment. It's really not necessarily meant to identify specific strengths and weaknesses in individual kids. It's really to look at how the school is doing as a whole.
Correct.
So like you said, we're going to look at whether or not the trend is always the same in fourth grade or whether it's a particular group of kids. That helps you figure that out. And also, to answer your question also, this PACE project is really a combination of still giving some smarter balanced assessments, one test at four grade levels, rather than language arts and math at every grade level from third to eighth grade. So it's a blend of performance assessments, which are more genuine to what's happening in the classroom on a daily basis versus the standardized test that looks like the smart balance. So there would still be some smart balance.
So it's more balanced on that.
And it would be, so that would be at like third grade and eighth grade?
One third, one fourth, and then one second.
And I think my point would just be, I would hate to have that gap and then be surprised when eighth grade rolls around and have, you want to have,
But hopefully, if you're teaching well, and kids are learning what they're supposed to, the performance assessment should be shown you that long way, which gives you the opportunity to make corrections in your instructional practices or providing services for students.
You were saying that I think the rubrics that were used would be more standardized, and that's through the state? The state would be coming in to look at our rubrics, and they'd be giving us rubrics, or how would we?
It's a
Yeah, I don't think we have all those answers yet. It's new to us as well. And I
It's
know,
looking at existing rubrics that are out there for, like you develop the assessment and you look at how you're going to assess it, and then you send it out to other people's feedback without that. Use the way to give you the look at it independently and say, this is what you're testing, but people who are testing really measure that. Or there are holes in your rubric or your performance assessment stakes.
It sounds like
That's awesome.
we're in a situation where it's an interesting path. It's definitely an interesting path. There are a lot of questions. Is there an opportunity for someone to come this year to have a meeting?
we can ask if we're accepted, but our year one doesn't start until next year. But I'm thinking if there is a specialist
I think it
at the
would be
department or a consultant, that they would be willing to come, at least come to one community forum.
I would really appreciate that.
We can look into that. There's going to be a lot of questions.
Right. And I think that there should be questions from the general population too.
If we can give enough notice on that too, so,
Sure.
again.
In the past, when we've done the forums, we would alternate evening and daytime forums to get, some parents needed to be home at night with the kids and weren't working during the day, and then vice versa, so it seemed to get more people when we were able to do that.
Right. Okay, anything else for principal's report? Okay.
Just one. Kind of piggybacking off of what Shelley said, we've been looking at, we always look at staffing patterns and how many kids there are in each grade level, how many classes are at each grade level. We spent a lot of time looking at middle school. Our biggest frustration has always been, since we added the sixth grade into the middle school mix, trying to have two teams of teachers dealing with three grades of kids has never, seems like we've ironed out one problem, which creates another problem, and we've spent a lot of time looking at another structure for this particular group of kids coming in, these fifth graders coming into sixth grade, what's best for them, as well as how to best address the needs of all of the sixth, seventh, and eighth grade students. And so Brian has been the brainchild of the scheduling aspect of things, so he has a handout that he will give you to walk you through what we're proposing for next.
So the top sheet is essentially a summary of what we do now. The next two sheets is what we are proposing. And I'm sorry, if I kind of live and breathe this, so if I stop me whenever you like. So on the current, we have a sixth grade team and an eighth grade team. And those two groups of teachers teach either a third or 2/3 of the seventh grade. So if I'm a science teacher, I will teach 3 sections of science for sixth grade, and in 1 year I might teach 1/3 of the seventh, and in the following year, flip-flop with the other science teacher, the 8th grade teacher, they teach 2/3. So it kind of goes back and forth between subject areas. We currently have literacy at 2 grade levels, 6th and 7th. 6th is 3 times a week, and 7th is 2 times. 8th grade does not take literacy due to time restraints due to world language. So as world language goes up in time, the literacy decreases. So everything has to balance out. World language is 1 time a week. It's 6th grade currently, and they explore both languages and cultures. So they don't really dive deep into the actual languages, more like the cultural aspect. And they learn basic phrases and things of that nature, but nothing too in-depth. At the end of 6th grade, going into 7th grade, they have it twice a week, and they choose either French or Spanish to be their focus for the next 2 years. And then 8th grade, it goes up to 4 times a week. 4 or more is part of essentially our RTI for academics. That is twice a week for all students. General population students receive, they go through kind of a cycle. First trimester, there's 3 categories. There's writing, math, and technology. And then they switch each trimester, so they get exposed to all 3. Students who are either special ed or just need level 2 interventions work with our math specialist or our reading specialist, or sometimes just our math teacher to get extra support in the subject areas. Integrated arts, currently 6th graders are all by themselves, and then 7th graders have a blended class. So 7th and 8th graders are all together in IAs, and that's been that way for quite some time, as long as I've been here, just 4 years. Wellness is 1 day a week, and then advisory, wellness is health, additional, and advisory is 2 times a week at all 3 grade levels. So that leads us to the proposed. So what we're looking to do is make a 6th grade team and then a national 7 and 8 team. The 6th grade team would consist of 3 core teachers, humanities, math, and science. There would be a literacy teacher that would be co-teach, would be on both teams essentially. They would teach 3 sections of literacy at the 6th grade, so that there wouldn't be a change there. And then that person would have the opportunity to go up into the 7th and 8th grade team and co-teach there. Either language arts or also the opportunity to move into math and sciences and social studies to help with the emphasis on writing. And then we also propose to have a resource teacher that would provide tuition services for special ed students. This past year, we had our 7-8 case manager work with our math teacher at the 7th and 8th grade level, and to do kind of like a hybrid class, and it's been very successful, essentially a co-teaching in our math class, and they've seen a really good success with that, so this is where the idea came from. So that's essentially what the 6th grade team would be. The 7th and 8th grade team would consist of 4 teachers in math, language arts, science, and social studies. The core classes, those 4 subject areas, would be a blended of 7th and 8th grade students, similar to what we have with the IAs right now. The literacy teacher would still be there. However, literacy wouldn't be taught to those 7th and 8th grade teachers. She would teach kids who wouldn't go into world language. We have not a large population, but we have quite a few kids that don't take world language, just due to the fact that they struggle with reading and writing English. So they receive extra services at that time. So we would use that person to continue the literacy process with those students. And then the resource teacher would be available for some students at the 7th and 8th level. And going on to literacy, kind of just what I said, they would still teach 3 times a week, and the world language students not taking world language would receive her services twice a week. All middle school teachers by next year are going to be training keys to literacy. Essentially what that is it's kind of common knowledge for teachers to use when across all disciplines, when note-taking or presenting information. So kids are seeing, a simple thing would be 2-column notes. So a math teacher would use the same strategy as a science teacher, and so kids have that understanding of what to expect when it comes time to take those to study. So that if they're seeing it in every class, they're able to use it and relate to the other subject areas. Right now, two-thirds of our middle school have taken the course, and they really liked it. Ellen McDonald, science teacher, she is using it on a consistent basis, and she's loves what she's seeing, with just the way the kids are interacting with it. A change in world language with that sixth graders would not take world language, and seventh and eighth graders would take it 4 times a week. So that would up the amount of time seventh graders are exposed to it. And that would not be blended, because that would be something that would have to be built up from each year. And then going on to the last page. Core more would stay with sixth grade, but not with seventh and eighth grade. And integrated arts, we would look to blend the fifth and sixth grade, and then keep the seventh and eighth out as been traditionally. Wellness would stay the same at 1 day a week. And advisory, sixth grade, they're looking to do it 4 days a week at 25 minutes, and the seventh and eighth grade would continue to do it twice a week for 2 50-minute times. There's a lot of information I just threw at you guys. So.
In terms of addressing issues, what major issues does this restructuring address?
Essentially what we find is that there's no seventh grade team. They do allow, that's probably one of the biggest issues. Seventh grade, it's not like they slip through cracks, but there's not a lot of knowledge of who they are. We have an advisory, I'm part of the seventh grade advisory, and so we had pulled down, like Mr. Flagg, who comes down from eighth grade, teaching more eighth grade courses and works with us. Nick St. Germain, the math teacher, comes up predominantly with the sixth grader. He comes up and joins the seventh grade team. So there's some interaction, but on a daily basis, there's only one teacher that sees every single seventh grader, and that's our language arts teacher, Amy Lewis. So she's the only teacher that sees that person, all those kids every single day. So if we're having a meeting, a seventh grade meeting, like our advisory meeting, and we want to talk about a kid, it's difficult. You might have them, and the rest of you might not. So we need to have the whole entire middle school in a meeting to talk about students. And then there, you have some teachers who teach sixth grade. They almost have like side conversations. So
we only have one language arts teacher.
well, for seventh grade, we have 3 language arts teachers.
Andrew Davis, what, for seventh, eighth grade, or just?
She's right now. She teaches seventh grade language arts. Barbara Cook is sixth grade, and Anna Flagg is eighth grade.
So would this change the number of teachers, or is this?
Nope, this changes nothing in terms of staffing.
Is there shuttling, you said?
There's no. Those who are middle school teachers now will continue to be middle school teachers. The one difference would be that we would have a resource teacher, and that person has dual certification in special ed and language arts.
So to ask the most basic of questions, one of them requires your crystal ball. How are we looking next year population-wise? Do we have another bottleneck coming through, or where are we from a staffing standpoint? Do you need, I guess ultimately, it's the board's responsibility to say, do you need more people? Do you need more space?
We don't need any more people, because when we've looked at this all through the year through the budgeting process, we knew that we had this number of kids, and we've tried to reallocate the staff to make it more effective for kids.
Okay, so that answers that question. So then it's just, this is an effort just to make it a little more efficient.
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, the piece is just what Shelley was saying, looking at the kids and the kids' needs. And we're looking to see if we can find a better team that's more unified.
And I guess that's what my question
Focus on the sixth grade kids.
is the focus on the sixth grade kids, is another body helpful to help correct?
Adding one more body to this?
And I'm not saying we can or it's possible, but I'm saying, is that something that would have helped that situation, is to put another body there, or to try to accelerate services and certain things, so that we can,
I don't think it's a middle school.
we can grind a little bit more math into the heads of.
Well, I think when he said the resource availability, plus you were taking the class that would have, that benefits to the children that need the extra money.
Right.
I like.
I look at lower math scores and it
Yep.
scares me because you cannot put enough math in somebody's
Right.
head.
And what this does, it allows for the sixth grade schedule. And another big piece of that is flexibility. Right now, the schedule is locked in. Like, if we have a snow day, like last year, we had all those Mondays off. Those kids that missed those classes, there was no way to flip and say, all right, I missed math every Monday for the last 5 weeks. I can't flip those kids to the end of the day. It's just not possible with a schedule like this. It allows that flexibility to say, all right, let's flip my first period to your last period and have those kids be
Rotate around.
So this provides the opportunity for an entire grade to be,
flexible.
because right now they don't function as,
It allows the sixth grade to be flexible.
Yeah, it
It
allows
allows
the
the
seventh
seventh
grade.
grade to be a little bit more
It's a
flexible.
little bit more
And
flexible.
again, because you're dealing with two different grades of kids, there's certainly a lot less
But it also
flexibility.
allows you to compensate for snow every Monday for an entire winter,
Well,
something along
The
those
sixth grade
lines.
class is one of the big ones.
right, so if this provides for the sixth grade to be more flexible and have more attention, which is fantastic, what happens in seventh grade with this group? Do they blend then? Is this the model going forward?
Yes, it would be the model going forward, yes. They would blend as well. It's kind of, they're bookend between two 40 population classes.
Right.
So you have 40, 60, 40.
Right.
And then we get up again, we're in the 50s and
Right.
I think
And then
there's
the
in the
60s.
60s again. So after the 40, there's no more 40s for what we've seen, but I don't think there are right now.
Right,
So, so after this, it would even out.
does this schedule provide more of an opportunity for the kids to do, for the teachers to do things with the kids as an entire grade? Like, we're taking the seventh grade, we're going outside, or,
Yes.
Yeah.
but this would
That would absolutely.
facilitate that more?
Right.
Okay.
Can you speak a little bit to the seventh, eighth grade blending of math classes, since we're on the math?
Yeah, right now we have algebra in eighth grade, pre-algebra, and then this, a typical eighth grade class and typical seventh grade class, with Mr. Rod Dudley. We have kids who are a year lower already in those classes, not a high amount, but we do have them. And we actually get to the point now where the last 2 years, we've had kids taking VLAX geometry classes on the computer overseen by Nick St. Germain. So we have the eighth graders in the back of the room doing everything on the computer. He teaches a sixth grade class, and then he comes over and assists them with questions or, comments and feedback. So that has already, in the math sense, the blending classes have occurred and they've been in practice for some time now.
I think I just misunderstood that. So that means that you're still keeping a geometry class and an algebra class?
Correct,
But
yes.
the algebra might have some eighth graders and some seventh graders, but they're all taking algebra.
Correct. Yeah.
At the sixth grade level, you have different levels of math class.
Essentially,
Right.
yeah.
Basically learning the same things, but one group's a little bit more accelerated than the other.
Well, we mix, sixth grade it's mixed. We do cluster group them, sixth grade.
So-
We have you have different levels of math
Math,
ability. Yeah,
right.
yeah. It's more when they get into that higher level math thing, that's what we see, the classes become more narrowed down.
And as we start bringing the later students, within the eighth grade students, we start introducing them to geometry, are they getting a disservice by not having more attention during those timeframes?
I don't know, I guess that would be a question we would have to ask those students who took it last year. If we saw them, like, were they prepared by just doing
can
VLAX?
we promote more by providing?
I think what we would see, possibility because with the sixth grade schedule being a little bit more flexible, they would have larger blocks of time. So they're going to be exposed to more time with math. So you might see an increase of the kids going towards a higher level math after a year or two. After sixth grade.
But, so the sixth grade at this point has a slightly higher level and less higher. When they move up to the blended, does that just, that differentiation disappears and they all
No,
blend with?
no.
Okay,
No,
so
it keeps going.
okay.
That's, if you remember you may or may not remember last year, we tried to solidify a path in order to be able to figure out who the algebra students are, who's the one that's going to end up in geometry, to make sure that they get the proper preparation all the way through. And what the assessment steps are in order to be able to get you from there, so that will stay in place.
Okay.
And, you know, quite frankly, it's pretty impressive to have kids that are 8th grade who are taking high school geometry.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
really not.
I love it.
Like, it's,
You
the
brought
high
that up
schools
last
are
year,
not
it was
really,
great.
they're not really believing.
If you've got kids on the gas pedal and you're willing to go,
I don't know.
I want someone to run with them and go with them. And I hate to think we're not giving them all that opportunity because of, we don't have enough time or people or the resources just aren't there. And that's why I asked the question.
I think that's one of the beauty of allowing this process to happen, to allow the kids to have a blended classroom, so that if you have a 7th grade student who's ready for higher level math, he or she can be with those 8th grade students.
And this looks great.
Thanks.
Just on an outreach to the public note, having a 5th grader go to 6th grade last year, please pull the parent orientation night
We are
to
doing
the
that.
spring.
We are doing that in June.
Okay.
I think the 6th grade team has narrowed down a date, we'll just make sure it works for the week, but that is gonna happen.
Excellent.
And we wanted to see if this was gonna go forward for the city to start brainstorming what that would look like. What this also allows is, less congestion in the halls, little things like that where you don't have,
The 6th grade homework to a slightly different schedule than the 7th.
and the cafeteria too, I would have, I'm looking to have two times, so 5, 6 would be together, 7, 8 would be together, for example, the organized trade-offs, that is the cafeteria, so.
Traffic in your
Yes.
One more, and that's with getting rid of the core more for 7th and 8th. Does that limit your RTI that you can offer to your students?
What we're hoping with the keys to literacy is that those pieces that have been pushed with the core more, it's almost like naturally evolving it back into the classroom. So because the teachers who teach the core more are the teachers who are teaching the classes. So essentially they've taken on what they've learned from this and kind of rolled it into their own lessons. The technology piece is a big one, obviously, and that's something that teams would still like to see possibly come into the classroom and Jenna help out with that. We still have a focus on that. And we have our portfolio anyway, so that's something that would become part of the curriculum.
Speaking of that, we obviously were running the pilot program for the 5th grade with the technology this year. We're still planning on advancing that to 6th grade.
Yep, that was actually our professional development this afternoon. Was
So we're going
the 5th grade team met with the entire middle school and went through that whole entire process. And from that, there was breakout sessions that we'll be able to speak more about.
Okay, I was going to say, is the intent to expand that through the entire middle school, or is it to have a waterfall
To the entire middle school.
next year?
Do you need, this looks good, it looks good to me.
I like
Do
it.
you need action from us on this, or is this more of a,
I don't know if that's.
Are you happy?
I don't think it does, because it doesn't involve any staffing changes or, it's just making you aware of it. Being more protective of kids, staff.
Thanks for your work.
Thank you, guys.
All right, anything else, Paul?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
That's like our school.
I'm passing out a flyer that I think might need your action last year, if you remember. This is what needs your
Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. That is, sorry.
Thank you.
Last year, Jess had proposed art camp that she had been doing for a number of years, and with the planned implementation of the enrichment program, there was a question about waiving fees and who needed to be insured and all that kind of stuff. So she had proposed an art camp, and in the end, you guys had waived the fee for her, and as long as she got her own insurance, and she didn't do that, and she is requesting the same situation in this current year. As long as that follows the same. If it hasn't, the building use format hasn't changed substantially, or the enrichment program going, it's a summer program rather than a suite program.
I think it would be appropriate to answer her and Jasmine at the same time.
Yes.
I know that you will discuss that. you had asked for a facilities update on that date, so just to give you kind of things in no particular order. The ongoing gym situation as to what may or may not have caused the bubble on the floor and the fans and all that kind of stuff, ventilation. He had been monitoring the humidity as requested on a daily basis, hourly. And if you're interested, the average daily humidity is 28.5. He has all of the information if you want to see it on a day-to-day basis. Daily average on a rainy day is 41 and 43. On dry snow day, 25. On other days, it's as low as 20 and 22.
Can you send me a copy of that?
Have that? Because I have electronic. Any other questions about gym humidity?
It seems like the bubble in the floor was the one error from the second application, and the rest of it is holding on nicely.
You're jumping ahead on my list.
Sorry.
So, yes, there have been no other bubbles on the floor. And because there's been ongoing basketball and hoops classic, there's been no opportunity to be able to sand that spot and refinish it. He does have the stuff. He plans to do it in April during vacation week, since there won't be anybody playing basketball at that time.
We did have an issue with tape feed with them that we traditionally use, and the tape was pulled up and did work. This is probably too. And it's the same tape that they've used in the past.
It's gym tape.
It's gym.
In different areas.
There's still an underlying issue there. I mean, to what extent, to what it is, I'm not exactly sure, but something has gone awry.
Okay, I didn't know that tape. This is news to me.
Surprise.
Surprise. Okay, so there's a bubble on the floor and tape line, apparently. Glad you got that. Going along with the April vacation plan, you may have noticed when you came in the water fountain downstairs in the lobby is missing from the wall. There's been all kinds of gyrations to try to figure out aligning the drainage, which is going to require a little bit of drilling out of the concrete on the side in order to move the drain over a little bit. The plumbers have been here because it's going to require blasting through the concrete. They're going to come also during the April vacation rather than have kids in both floors listening to a small amount of time, but we thought it's so close to the April vacation, why not just do it during April vacation instead of having people complaining about things.
But he took it off.
It was off and on a number of times, and the plumber has been here in order to, they were trying to jury rig it by putting another extension hose to the drainage and stuff, but there's been a lot of attempts to. Right. Yeah.
This is the bubblers, right?
Yes. Yeah. Like the bottle, so.
It's 3 weeks till, or 2 weeks till.
2 weeks. So
You made it this long.
It seems like 5 minutes of rotary hammer work.
It's a special.
we did talk about that, but, since there have been so many issues along the way,
All right.
it does sound
No,
like
I
it should be
understand.
5 minutes of rotary work until
I'm going
Until
to
it's
bring
done.
an empty water bottle with me for the next meeting.
Okay. I would tell Mike.
And I'll come up with a full.
He has been collecting quotes for mowing, as requested last time, and he has them, and they are different prices. So Patty and I are wondering
We should be issuing an RFP
for that.
so that we can, need to develop a scope of work.
Did I say that before? I think we have this, didn't we have this? Yeah, I guess I'm not being in that line of work, I'm not sure how the scope of work differs
We
from.
should develop a scope of work that I can most certainly help with that, but just listing how many times, the frequency, what we're doing. There should be a full detailed scope of work that would also tie into a contract with timeframes and everything else.
That's just a mistake.
Yeah, these are just estimates, which are wonderful. It's a great way to put money in the budget, but it's time to hire somebody more, which we
We need to finish that policy.
need to finish our
Right.
policy. so if we make sure we're
Yeah.
able to. When's our current contract? Or are we out of our contract?
Yeah.
Current. Oh,
Right.
is he doing it per spring and fall, or is he doing it annually on budget?
Spring and fall.
Doing it spring and fall. So we should be fine until May, but we will need to get on that.
Yeah, we're ready for me.
Do you want me to ask Amber to work on that, or do you want to work on that with her, or do you want to do
As
it?
far as the RFP goes,
Yeah.
I can, with a little bit of direction, I can help draw up an RFP pretty easily.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, so
So-
do you mind if I have her contact you?
that's fine.
She's great at doing the RFPs, I think just a little bit of help in direction on
No,
what you're looking for.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
So do you need some direction from the board as far as when they come with different amounts?
Well, I guess
How?
that would be, I mean,
Because
obviously,
you won't be meeting again as a board until May, the grass.
we'll start grassing and then. It'd be nice if we can get an RFP, it actually would be great to get an RFP out so that we can actually act on it anyway. Which,
Or you could, I mean, absent, you could designate, the board could designate you to work with Amber and choose the bid.
yeah, well, I think if Amber and I could get a bit out and open prior to the next meeting, would allow us to act on it at the next meeting.
I'd like to make a motion to get that started. So I'm just make a motion to have that, and I'll do it. So we'll prepare for that.
Yeah. We have
Second.
Second.
Any discussion?
We, I guess a quick question obviously is we are now, due to some changes in what we had going on last year, we're going to be maintaining the upper field as well. There is,
Each of those has to have a field.
they have the upper field. What I don't see in any of these is fertilization as well. Are we doing that through a different contract, or are we?
Who's in there?
In most cases, you can have one guy kind of handle it all, and make it all inclusive, the pricing is a little bit more attractive just because it's a more sizable contract. So I mean, do we want to look at necessarily running fertilizations with the same outfit? Where we're trying to stand on that, but if you just want to talk about maintenance initially, I can at least open that can of worms. I can get the maintenance now.
If I could ask Cindy if she had anything to add to the fields as the athletic director in regards to mowing and such.
The fertilization was a question. The mowing, I just want to be able to talk to them who's on that field.
Well, I mean,
But
you know, mowing the upper field is one thing, but a ball field requires more than mowing. You need to clean out the base paths, you need to have some sort of direction and frequency you're doing that. Whether or not material needs to be added to the base paths. They are wet right now. I came this afternoon, I happened to be in town because school got out early and I had to be a parent. So I came back this afternoon and just to kind of see how the grounds were looking. You know, it's not just cutting the grass. There's more involved in the ability to, I guess.
And that top field requires a little more maintenance because every spring we have holes. You get little ones, like we've been able to stand children in them. Because it's
Please don't
on the
tell
rock.
us.
So we've always had that material donated to us, and we don't have that anymore, so it does take some labor, which we do, but we do need material as well.
I'll work up with Amber an RFP and distribute it to the rest of
I'm comfortable with you looking at an RFP that includes whatever needs to get done for, I feel like tying it together, I'm comfortable with that. I don't know how the rest of the board feels.
I'm fine with it.
Is there a level, is this like a Cadillac little ball field we're talking about here?
Well, we have a budget line for it, so it's putting out an RFP that's either all inclusive or breaks it out. So I'm comfortable with, I would imagine that you will look for the best and
Well, we will
financially
put together an RFP that is accurate and
See what you got.
and see what the work is back.
Okay.
If you want to reach out to me.
Yeah, sure.
So that was That was a motion, and we had a second, that was discussion, so all in favor? Aye.
Moving on. Okay.
Keep
Door
going.
sweeps have all been replaced on 20 doors.
Yay.
And we have some leaks with the rainy spring in 2 different parts of the building, above the art room, above the music room. The art room in 2 places, one of them was a drain pipe that has been repaired. The other one was a pipe that was actually leaking in the storage room in one of the art rooms. That has been repaired. The leaks above the music room, I have tried many different ways to try to get to the bottom of the leak, but with the rubber membrane roof, it's very hard to find. The hole might be here and the leak ends up being over there. So many times they thought they had found it. We suspect it may be damaged from last year's, shoveling.
Snow level.
Right. So we are in the process of, the roofers actually went to remove the rocks in the area above the music room and cement knotted the large sheet of rubber to take care of the next couple weeks. And the last thing for Mike's report, it's really kind of my addition to his report, is just a reminder that the stage lighting, we have lights now that are tenuous at best, so to speak. We look for, other sources of funding, but just keep that in mind. That is an ongoing concern of mine.
So this, you need more stage lighting or replace
Well, this, I think it's time to replace the stage light because, wiring is worked out and as I said, the lights are old and they overheat and they're potential fire.
Are they out of service at this point?
Does anybody look into?
There are light bulbs.
Yeah, that was the last one we did.
Back to working.
We had it was a pretty significant amount. I think it was 28,000, something like that.
Yes. That was assumed to us.
Right.
Anything else about, any questions for Mike? Just to let you know that Ellen had applied for our magnet to get a $1,000 grant from the schoolyard habitats going to build the outdoor classroom, and we were awarded that $1,000. So we have a design, the design of the outdoor classroom that has the natural roof on it. We're going to try to build that. We do put the materials out. Barbara Cook very nicely being the architect, drew the plans for us, and we put it out to see how much it would actually cost. And they costed out all the materials, and we came in at $996. So hopefully we'll be able to build it. The grant that we didn't get was Timberland, that has a day of service that they provide for nonprofit organizations in the springtime. They loved the proposal, they came out, they looked at it, they just felt like it wasn't along with the theme of their service project for this year, so they encouraged us for going for it, but it just didn't meet their criteria this year. So we will be looking for free labor instead of having Timberland's labor. All right. I did meet with Amber this week. The district is in the process, the whole SAU is in the process of switching over from one current insurance carrier for buildings to someone else.
Yeah, they're no longer offering it anymore.
So she is looking at the existing companies that do insure buildings. She's come out to make sure that the buildings that we have and the amounts of money that are allocated for materials in the buildings is accurate. So we do have an accurate list of the buildings themselves, and she will be looking for insurance companies to give us some estimates. We are in the process of updating the emergency plan with the town emergency management team. It's been rescheduled, so stay tuned for that. And the other thing, I just wanted to brag about some stuff going on in the school. One of them is that I have to give kudos to Deb Bovier, who has been one of the cheerleaders for having us become a Google school. And yes, and because of her connection, her early connections with Google, we became an early adopter of Google products. And you may or may not be familiar with Google Expeditions, but Google, we requested to be part of the Google Expeditions project, where they actually come out and if you have an Apple iPhone, they have these boxes that you can put in that allow you to do virtual field trips anywhere in the world. And it's really amazing when you look at the box, you know, like if you could be, one of the things that we looked at is 4 points in New York City. So if you actually look at the iPhone through that box, it looks like you were actually there no matter which direction you move. You can look up, you can look down, you can look behind you, all around. We looked at museum, there's a museum tour. So there's a curator that's actually talking about a museum, so you can actually look at him talking at you, or you can actually look over at the painting and it's there. It's just like being in the room here. And they're gonna come and do the presentation. It's free to us. They're gonna come on April 22nd, I believe. For grades 4 through 8, you have to be cut off. There were some kids in the 3rd grade that,
8 years old.
yeah, that, you know, one grade had to be split, so we decided to go with 4th grade. So they actually come and do the training with the teachers. The teachers actually chose a tour, a field trip. They went along with the curriculum that they're teaching, and they actually, oh, this is the device.
Where do you walk?
Are you gonna give them the tour?
I wasn't going to,
Well, I think it's fun to play.
Me too.
Now you're just teasing them.
not to come that
Yeah, I
way.
think one at 25.
Or you can come back the 22nd.
I'll come back to 22nd.
So they will train the teachers, and they actually do the whole thing. So each of the kids through 4th through 8th grade will be going on a tour of
This is
someplace.
the pattern you should have
And,
had.
yeah.
How much they sell on this?
$12.
It's 6 cents worth of cardboard.
We've tried to cut them. They're hard to cut. If the die cut is.
There's a whole tube of hot glue in there.
It's 12 cents worth of cardboard.
So I just wanted, we also, like Brian was saying, today we have the opportunity to be able to talk with the teachers about the next step for the one-to-one initiative and to make sure that it's really, that kids are really learning, that they're not just playing with computers. And so we, once a month, thereabouts, we have an opportunity to be able to share with the staff some, a lot of stuff that people are doing, because teachers don't have an opportunity to go and visit other people's classrooms to really know what's happening at other grade levels. So we asked the 5th grade to share some of the stuff that was going on, and Matt Ferdinand, who's actually an intern, took it upon himself to showcase a couple of things. So he presented ways that kids are actually taking this technology and running and presenting their learning in lots of different ways. And so he talked about the fact that, today, Instagram, kids take pictures of everything that they see, do, and they have to hashtag everything and they share it. And so they actually went back and talked about, like, so if I was living in Paul Revere's time, what would my Instagram be rather than an Instagram? So he actually has a template that the kids actually use. This is one of the things that they showcase what they're learning. So, here it says, at Paul Revere, on my way to Lexington and Concord to warn the Patriots. And he's got hashtags, bad news, hashtag war, hashtag the British are coming. A reply from @George_Washington, thanks for the heads up. So the communication that would probably be going on today, that obviously wasn't going on when Paul Revere was doing this. But again, there's a lot of stuff that's embedded here that I can't even begin to give it justice, but just the hashtags themselves really talks about keywords, guide words, main ideas, that kind of stuff, like what would you use for hashtags when you're doing this kind of stuff. So that's one of the things that he did. And the other one is the kids created a fake book instead of Facebook. So this one here was one of the students, created all of the stuff that runs along these things. Excellent. Yeah. Stuff that we would tend to see, and then it's linked to other pages. And there are live links that that connect to different things. And then the timeline. Updated January 16th, 1500, how's it going, Pedro de Gama? March 1st, King Manuel finally appointed me to go to India. Sweet, hope you don't hit the currents I did on my way around Africa. Gama. Leaving now, March 9th. I sighted a new land yesterday. I think I'll stay for a while, April 21st. April 24th, cool, we get to name it. Dave Hudson, yeah, wonder what to call it though, April 24th.
It's a good reception, I see.
So those are some of the things that have been showcased that the kids are doing. And this is also a piece, I'm just going to talk through this part because if you went to the 4th and 5th grade music concert, Melissa Davis really talked about all of the different standards that are taught in music, that, creating, listening, performing. And our kids in the 4th and 5th grade actually created the music, they composed the music, and they created this video, which was an Olympic theme, and they did all of the different standards in music were all incorporated in this. So they did the overlays and stuff. And needless to say, the kids, the Deerfield team won. We beat them several times. They did the hurdles. And based on the type of video that they were doing, the different activities that they were doing, there's a different type of music that's used. So all of the music is unique except for one small piece at the end, which Melissa's very disappointed that that piece wasn't unique. The shot book. This is the 4th and 5th grade band. That's
Next up, watch our athletes take a stab at throwing the javelin.
throw the javelin.
See you again in 4 years for the 2020 Olympic Games.
So this was done with the green screen that's out here when you're going down the stairs. And the last thing I wanted to show was, if you remember, we sent some kids to the National Globe Science Fair for middle school. They put together a video which we didn't know about.
I'm Gilliman. I'm at the Visitor Center here at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center, and inside we have a big science fair happening that's part of the GLOW program. Let's go inside and meet some of the participants.
So the GLOW program has been around for a very long time, and students have these scientific protocols that are standardized across the whole world, but there's been, I think, a missing element. This opportunity to showcase their work in a competitive environment through like a science fair competition. And so that's what we're holding here today, the first in a series of regional science competitions funded by the National Science Foundation and organized in collaboration with the GLOW program office.
Great. Well, your project was finding out if animals are safer under the snow. Tell me about that.
Usually we have a lot more snow than we did this year, so we wanted to see like how the little animals like survive during the cold winters. And we knew that snow insulated because we were reading articles that our teacher gave us.
We tested dissolved oxygen and pH, and we found out that the E. coli levels are really unsafe for our community.
Before this, I had no idea how bad the water actually was. I mean, the E. coli is absurd amounts, is well over the safe drinking and swimming level, and we still have kids playing in it and animals drinking from it.
Well, what's it like knowing that NASA scientists are interested in this kind of work?
I think it's so cool. I've never really met a NASA scientist before. I haven't really met that many scientists ever, actually. And it's really cool just to experience this.
Very exciting knowing that people that are very high in science, that do a lot of science for their job and their work, are actually interested in 3 kids from Deerfield.
Has working on this globe project inspired you to study science, engineering, math in college?
Yeah, it's like opened my eyes to different, like to broader terms of science. Like science doesn't have to just be like, there's not just one form of science, there's so many different like horizons to it.
I've always wanted to do math and I've loved it, but just being here, I found that there are jobs for mathematicians at science or at NASA. You don't just have to major in science to be here.
Why was this project important to you personally?
After starting to do the project and after realizing what an impact we make on the water, I realized that I actually needed to take a stand to make the water safer. For me, I own 5 horses, and so all of this manure and all this continuous, nasty is running into our water.
All the work these students are doing are feeding into a database that's accessed by NASA scientists and other scientists around the world. We can't predict what kind of jobs these students will be competing for. So we have to prepare them as best we can to compete in an environment that is a big mystery. And so make sure they have the best skill sets to earn the best paying jobs and also to support our economy as it moves forward is really important to me and also to the agency.
That's fantastic.
Good stuff happening.
And they came in second place.
Awesome. And the last thing on my list is that I met with Amber also to talk about the next step with the phone system. And she has been gathering some information from Deb and from Bob Layton and from the discussion that you guys had and wanted to come up with an RFP. And she's in the process of doing that in order to be able to get it off the ground and out and hopes of having the project happening during the course of the summer so that it's done before school gets back.
Does she know what type of system the board is interested in? Because that's something that has to be in the RFP, I'm assuming.
Yep.
We specified that.
We did. I thought we did.
Should be.
Maybe, if you're okay with, maybe Deb can flesh out. She was part of that conversation also. It's beyond me as far as.
Well, we picked out a mid-range system,
Right.
and we said that we wanted a leased system, and we didn't want to buy the equipment and.
We wanted an option about it.
Yes. But we didn't, the part that we don't have is the, whether we want voice over internet or some of the other kinds of systems. The consultant that we hired suggested that we just add some lines instead of going with a internet-based system that would give us like 100 direct lines, because we don't need 100 direct lines. Our needs are smaller, so that's a part that we could still work out. And I don't know if the board wants to be part of that discussion, or if you want to come up with a proposal that you look at. One of my concerns with all these RFPs is to get them out, to turn them around fast enough that we can get what we want to have done this summer.
Based on the spacing of our board meetings. Well, I mean, if we have a technology team, so if it were a technology focused RFP, I don't know if the board would be open to just having those. What's that?
I will make that motion.
Just having it approved between meetings with the technology team.
Then we could get, once we get it out, we can get some bids, and certainly talk about the differences in the bids.
Right.
But we can get the bid out. I know last year when we looked in June, the vendor, one of the vendors we talked to said they had one install space left in the summer.
So I would move that we allow our technology liaisons to work with Amber and Deb and anybody else interested in developing the RFP.
We have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So you can send it over and we'll take a look and move it. All right, Paul, you're done? Paul's done.
CRB?
CRB. A couple things in the meeting have already been talked about here, the things testing. The one-to-one pilot for this year in the 5th grade was touched on previously here. But we also discussed in our CRB meeting that a couple of the concerns that had been, I guess going into this pilot, we weren't sure what was going to happen to things like taking kids who were signing out these things, taking them home, would access to the internet at home be a challenge? We talked for a while about this. And, some of the feedback was that surprisingly there has been very little concern about accessing some of the wireless at home. If the students are working around, it doesn't seem to be an issue. So it seems like overall having the Chromebooks that they have is overall a positive problem. Having many concerns.
I do know some of the teachers actually provided some of the kids who didn't have wireless at the time. They downloaded it here, so they still.
Yeah.
So I know there are actually an opportunity for the kids that go to the after-school program to the 5th grade as well to download that so to homework their homework out. So that was good.
Yes. Speaking of the rec and the Parks and Rec and the after-school program, there was a situation, not a situation, but one story, one anecdote about this was that there was I don't know how frequently this happened, but there was a couple, one instance where a child went and spent all afternoon at the Parks and Rec, then had sports or something, and then didn't get home until whatever after that, but because it was not able to access wireless at the Parks and Rec, was not actually turning in the work, submitting the work wirelessly to Google or whatever until 9:30 at night. So there was some discussion about should these kids, if they have this capability, should they be able to access wireless at
That's a tough one. Because that's a business.
Yeah.
So I think that they have limited wireless there. And I think it's very secure, so they keep it as secure as possible for it.
That was what he said. There were a couple of comments, maybe Debbie mentioned, I think they were about possibly having a local hotspot that we could sign out from the library.
There's a company called PG that sells mobile hotspots that can be loaded with a limited amount of time on them. So you can check out, some libraries are offering a checkout of this mobile hotspot that maybe only has an hour's worth of internet time on it.
So you want the students, like a 5th grade student, to check it out and not hopefully get lost in Parks and Rec?
They're not losing the Chromebooks they're checking out.
I would really give them a little more credit.
Maybe well, I just don't know how many books my kids are really lost in school, so I'm just speaking for
It's
myself.
very interesting that we can have.
Is it something we could offer Parks and Rec to check out?
Yeah.
And we, you know what I'm saying, at the level?
Honestly, I think we could work with Parks and Rec to have a more secure connection. So, I mean, we let anybody can log on our system. We could probably share some of that expertise.
Yeah.
Right. I think if we get involved, the same standards that this building has in terms of searchabilities and such should be carried over, especially if we get some sort of a checkout system. No, just like the limitations of search.
Right. I'm just saying an object, if they check it out, it's an object.
But the issue with that is that, that's a monetary cost that we would need to figure out where we were going to budget for wireless that was away from this thing.
That mobile device that you're talking about, or hotspot, what type of cost is that, Gary?
I'd have to look at it. They sell it and they.
If it's yeah, I mean, I'm just curious.
You're talking about the preloaded ones, right?
Yeah.
What would be incurred with that? I mean, is there?
I can find that information out.
Do we have students is there any students you know that don't necessarily have access to Wi-Fi at home?
The only student in the 5th grade that we know that doesn't have access, it has it at one parent's house, but not at another parent's house.
Okay.
And they work around it. out where they preload. What the kids sometimes will do with Chromebooks is open up all the sites that they need, and as long as they don't need to interact with that site, if they just need to read what's on it or watch a video, it's already downloaded, so they can use it right away. There's only one case where the teachers felt that, homework was kind of awkward because of not having wireless. The other case is students they tether up their parents' telephone, they go to grandma's house next door, there's solutions that there weren't 5 years ago. It seemed like 5 years ago you had internet and you didn't have internet, and now it seems like people have got ideas of how to make it work.
On the side note, I don't think there's that many fifth, sixth graders that class. So, I mean.
And interestingly, the teachers get binged when the homework gets turned in on their phone, so they know what time it's turned in.
So I don't know if it's some of the other concerns that I had from this, and I wasn't part of the early discussions about the technology curriculum when the CRB looked at it, but I was told that this pilot is it's not intended to be worked down and introduced down the grades, 4th grade, 3rd grade. And I think that we had a little discussion about not wanting to, or being at least many in the community, I think, are legitimately concerned about having kids spending a lot of time on screens here at school and then also at home. We want them to be on screens all the time. And I think a lot of grades. That at least is a concern that I've had that we mentioned in the community. So I think from my perspective, fortunately, we're not looking at working in wireless pilot down to the lower grades. That was where that discussion went. Other than that, there was one other item that was, I was previously on the CRB, the community rep. Now I think I've been promoted. Is it a promotion? To the school board rep. And so there was a question, does that vacant spot be filled? I think that the CRB was overall had a feeling that there should be community representation. They were asking us for it.
So we would ask Paul to seek volunteers. Yeah.
It's challenging for lots of the communicators. The only real ways to communicate are people to read the forum, and we have the bridge, but it is difficult. We have opportunities to spread the word in the community. It would be great.
Anything else? All right. Deb, you want to chat with us about audio visual equipment needs?
I really wasn't thinking that I was doing that tonight, but
That's fine.
what I
We got plenty going on.
just quickly, we're videotaping tonight. I think this will be kind of a quality check for this would be the least expensive, least effort to do it without mics. And if this works, that's okay. If it doesn't work, the town spent $7,000 to $8,000 on it, and I think we might want to think about like orientation of the room, and what I would, if there was a blank check to put in a system here, I would say that we would want a mounted camera and permanent mics. But that probably wouldn't work where you're sitting now. It might work if we aimed a different direction or if we were in a different classroom. Because, if you look at the projector for that screen up there, it's cantilevered out. There's not a lot of facility to have that. You want to have like something mounted on this side and aim over to that side to get across. Let's just cross our fingers and hope this works.
Good. Okay, thank you. All right, we are on to facilities. Paul, you did that, right? Discussion around the 16-17 warrant articles in the recent election. So we had an election, and obviously we are aware of that. As far as warrant articles, there were a couple that were, well, there was a number that we had aimed at the school. But it would be worthwhile going through and discussing what's passed, what didn't, and what the sense of the community is in regards to both articles that did pass and articles that nearly passed. So, but it would be a worthwhile discussion to have. So, was happy to see that we had great response on the budget and the teacher's contract. It's very nice to see that the teachers got approved. Paving went through, everything went through. I did want to talk about warrant Article 6, which barely lost, and it does definitely, there are a number of people in the community, and we've heard many times that there are people in the community who are not happy about standardized testing. So what I would like to say is that I'm encouraged that there is an alternative that we are headed down the path towards to improve the pace, which will move away from the rigorous standardized testing. I'm interested in hearing more about it and exactly what it entails, and bringing a lot of that into the building. I think it's great that the community cares about that, and I never was a huge fan of standardized testing myself. However, it does provide interesting information that we do use and can work with. So, anybody else have thoughts on
if we're just discussing Article 6 at the very moment, we see nearly a flip in results from last year, and for all intents and purposes, it's a tie.
Right.
It's an even split. It was last year, it was this year. The language in the warrant article to immediately discontinue is what I think is concerning. So we, as we did last year, discussed it and started working through solutions to look at it, to try to find a compromise, is what the board was trying to do between, the language in the warrant article and what was prudent. I think we're continuing down that path. Is pace the exact answer? That's still yet to be determined, but it does lead us in potentially a direction that would help to satisfy a portion of what that warrant article was asking for last year and again, this year. You can't just slash, burn, and replace and kind of start over. So I think we're following a prudent course.
Right. And then in regards to warrant Article 7, I think it was a nice affirmation of the good work that the administration and the teachers are doing in this building. I would like to, on a personal note, say that I fully support what the administration is doing. I think that this school is being run well. I think that the teachers are high quality, and I'm encouraged to see that the community believes that as well. There's definitely a unease among a certain number of people, a large percentage of people, who don't like top-down educational solutions, and it's not necessarily I sympathize with you, and I understand that that sense is there, and I think that we have a wonderful locally created curriculum that is doing a good job of teaching our students. We are hands tied in regards to certain aspects of what goes on, but in terms of where we're at in the testing, but I would like to say that we do hear the community. We will continue to hear the community and respond personally, I think we should respond in appropriate ways. So, anybody else has anything to add?
I would agree. In my conversations with various people in the community the past couple months, I've heard said a number of times that the standards that are guiding our curriculum are, the Common Core standards are by and large pretty good. Are they perfect? No, I think people have questions about particularly the lower grades, the primary grades, and the idea of too much testing at the lower grades I think is concerning, but at the same time I think there's been a lot of support from the community, particularly from parents who have had, let's say, kids go through the school and have had teachers, the same teacher but separated by a couple of years. They've seen that I think the rigor of the assignments and the activities they've been doing has been elevated in that perspective. And I've heard that repeated a number of times, and I think overall there has been over positive view on the recent changes and updates to our curriculum as we are aligning more with these state standards. I was glad to see those numbers there support that.
Anything else? Anybody else want to add anything to that? Sure.
Forgive my naivete here, but is there something that we need to, does anything about this require any sort of a motion or action by us, or is this something
It's at our discretion. So if you have something that you would like to see, that's at your discretion. I would emphasize that I think that we are on a good path. I think the school is well known. I think the administration is great. I think the curriculum is good. And I fully support what's going on there.
I agree.
All right. Informational items. Anybody have anything for informational items?
I just have one. Amber brought up the lease for the modulars. I know. I'm assuming that you want to do 1-year leases at this point. You're not looking for any multi-year because you're considering your options. So she had a quote from budget season, we put that amount in there, so I'm gonna tell her to stick with the 1 year. And that expires in June, we'll start over.
Patty,
Yes.
when she was here for the insurance meeting, she talked about the cost of buying out. Did she have that there?
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah, because we had talked about a buyout. One-time purchase in full, $42,821 and $42,390 for a total of $85,211.
What is the annual lease?
That's $70 grand a year. No, for each. No, it's more than that. Monthly we're $1,330 on one and $1,495.
So your 3-year return. Right. If you buy your 3-year return.
Yes.
Well, yeah, there's a lot more, there's so many years you can pay for them to get to the thing, you know what I'm saying?
Right. But it's good information to look at in regards to what the options are space-wise moving forward. To know that it's 84,000 basically to 85,000. Buying straight up. So you're asking for a sense of what we can do? Or?
Yeah, I think it's April and the lease expires in 2 months, so we were assuming that there were not going to be any changes this year for the, I think we need at least 1 more year lease because we didn't budget for anything else.
We won't tonight put the discussion, what was on my goals for the year. So, that's,
yeah.
It's good information.
It's information on me.
Is there a reason for the difference in these prices?
The time we started.
Is it the
One's
age of
older,
the ones
right?
anywhere? It's just age? Okay.
I think you want to be back soon.
Yes.
What's falling off the front of the lights?
I think it's the heat tables.
And are those,
Those that thing.
are those triple net, or are we responsible for them, or is the leasing company responsible?
They're supposed to be responsible for all maintenance, right? Not cleaning, but maintenance.
Anything beyond,
And then Amber said the other thing to consider, you need to look at your contract, but usually, like, we have the other one hauled away, and we buy it, we have
We
to
have
take,
to haul
yeah,
it.
we're, it's ours.
it looks like the upstairs in the next.
So at this point, obviously, we need an expert, so.
Yeah, so do a one-year lease and.
I
Is it-
think the 1 year is gonna gain us some time.
Everybody okay with that?
Yes. Do you need a motion on that?
Yeah, why don't we just,
I move that we approve or allow Amber to extend the lease on the modular classrooms for 1 additional year.
Any discussion?
If you were to propose a building addition in the spring, it would not be done in the fall.
Correct.
So would you actually need 2 years of the modular?
Well, the way I understood it, maybe I'm wrong, yearly.
Right.
We move forward with yearly leasing.
So is there a
July.
2-year
July.
lease
Yeah,
option that's less
January,
expensive? Like if you know you're going to need them, no matter what, if you know you're going to need them for at least 2 years.
Right, is there a
Is
cheaper?
there a 2-year lease option that's less expensive than a 1-year
ask
lease
her.
option?
Even if it got on the ballot for next spring.
Right.
so if she can get a 2-year with a better deal, do it.
Right.
So do you amend the motion,
Yes.
or do you want to have her pull the information and then act on it the next?
Can we do that?
You just want
Put
to
it on
table
put it on the agenda?
Yeah,
Yeah.
table it.
All right, I realize that I jumped in the agenda here. I apologize. So we actually should be on continuing business.
Notice that.
Sorry, it's getting late. So continuing business, is there any continuing business?
No.
Okay, and then we have a number of policies in front of us.
Yes, that I am not prepared. I have no edits for you tonight, so I think we should just carry on with those unless the KF use of facilities, you asked me to put that back on a few meetings ago, and there's been no discussion about that, so I don't know if you guys had thoughts about why you wanted it back on, or if you're not ready to talk about those, or.
Wait, I was in here at the last meeting,
Yeah.
but my thoughts on that were, we were trying to find out, I have a little amount of time that our school gets used for personal business, but I'm trying to grasp that position, and it's tough, because we just keep seeing it come in, and I know there's the talk about Parks and Rec.
Right.
We're seeing more issues with the heating on the floor. We're trying to keep it, just on the floor, because this school gets used quite a bit. Cindy Hansen did a great job this travel basketball season, juggling multiple incidents. And I'm sure Brian helped out too, and won't do that. But I know Patty and I talked about possibly, we don't want to take the revenue, but can you find out legally, can we possibly adjust some of that money to go forward to the 8th grade team or the focus groups, or, it just seems like it's hard for me to grasp, and I just haven't got my arms around it yet. It's okay for people to come in here and run a business, and we're expecting people to oversee this. It's very difficult, and I'm sure there's some people that come in and can do it, and there's no disorganization, but right now.
Well, I mean, it seems like a couple of things you're referencing, the things that Parks and Rec has run away from.
Why do they run away? So, I mean, there's a lot of underlying issues there.
So, but.
So we are addressing policy KF.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Yes, we are.
So it seems like the things that keep coming back up and that keep getting rolled, and the reason why KF is eternally on the agenda,
Yes.
and some of that falls back to, it's the things that Parks and Rec have gone away from. And we're looking at these services that maybe were pre-existing from
Well,
Parks and Rec. And
That's
we're
how we
trying
wrote it
to-
too. I mean, it's not.
Because we're constantly trying to make it work. And it's there's no good way to write that policy. You either draw a line in the sand, and you stand on one side of it, or you don't draw a line in the sand. But, you know, where, you know, everything keeps coming from travel basketball. Parks and Rec was facilitated last year. Gymnastics, Parks and Rec has been facilitated. So, I mean, we just keep seeing the shift from Parks and Rec away from what ultimately should have been their responsibility.
I agree.
And then we're trying to continue services to maintain some continuity. And
Did they pay Parks and Rec?
Right.
Did they pay the building?
I mean,
There's a lot of things unknown. I mean, some of these people are getting paid more than we're paying people here to schedule it.
And that's not right either.
Right, so there's a fine line we're trying to do. And for me, I want the community to be able to use it, but we're seeing a pretty big pattern on this last year. Unless, and I want us to take a better look at that.
I think that's a good point, that if you look at Cindy's stipend for a year.
It's awful.
And then someone comes in and wants to make an income and adds work to her, and you waive the fee, then that's.
And I don't agree with that.
In one class, you know, it's more money. I don't know, and I can't sit here when she's sitting here and go, it's okay. In reality, I know what you do, I've seen her.
And it's
You know, we've worked the gym, so
8 o'clock and you're still here.
it's great. But if we could find something else, you know, to where this could be driven, I think it's just kind of an open door.
maybe the fees should be driven to the coordinator.
That's fine. I don't
But
think
can we do that?
that's what I need to find.
You have to take it in as revenue. If you collect money, it comes in as miscellaneous revenue.
Right.
So if you increased Cindy's stipend, it comes out of the budget. The tax impact is offset,
Can we get her a fire?
but you can't
put in
just.
front of the classroom?
A big
Fire.
fire.
I mean, we keep trying to be flexible for the benefit of the people in this town, but we are starting to be taken advantage of as well.
Right.
Can I add to that?
Sure.
Which I mentioned to Jim, I should have added somewhere on here. We have had a request from that travel basketball league to continue a skills day through till summertime. And that been a request from that organization to continue that 1 day a week for the remainder of the school year.
How many
Sure, why
issues
not?
did you have with them?
After we sent out
3
warnings,
strikes rolled up.
yeah, they got the 2 strikes,
All of a sudden,
and then they got
Remember
the
here.
So,
and I also think that if we do give waivers, I'm sure we might give waivers. I mean, there might be something that is going to be beneficial. Then I still think that these waivers every year need to be renewed. I don't think it's something that just assumes that this is going to happen again this year, coming in the next month. I think they need to come back. And because at that point, if it's been an issue where it's been an aggravation to maintenance or to Brian or to Cindy, then we need to take a look at that to see if we need to adjust those rules and policies. I just don't think it should be a free pass. It's a lifetime.
Right. If the board's okay with it, I'd like to ask Cindy to join this conversation for a bit.
Yep.
The burden on you has increased with all of this.
It has, but I think the scheduling has worked itself out, so anything that Candy gets as a facility use, she forwards to me and I do all the scheduling in the building now.
Right.
We've had a few glitches, but that has worked. Some people aren't terribly happy with me when I say, nope, we can't have it on this night because we're double booked, or there's a concert, you may not hold your class. But I just kind of have that scheduling hat. And the issues we've had, Brian has dealt with, which has been good because it kind of keeps us separate.
Right.
One of my biggest issues is I feel like sometimes this building is used as a playground. So if you're running a class, anything associated with that class or that group really needs to stay there. And we've been very firm with people. I've gone up and said, look, I've had these complaints. If the kids are running the buildings, you're going to lose your spot. People have been pretty good about it, but I'm not here, so I don't know what's wrong with it.
Right.
One thing, I think, whoever just said it about the yearly renewal, I think that has to happen. Because programs change over the course of the year, and how much it gets used, so I think the board needs to look at that. And some of the businesses versus the classes, some of the businesses are being given a substantial amount of money, and we have benefited a little bit from that, but I think year to year, that's something that is really not
Right.
And the only thing I want to say about the whole Parks and Rec is kicking, like closing the door and stuff, I don't think that is true about gymnastics. He was talking about gymnastics.
I have it
He
on my-
did not say he was not going to do gymnastics. I think what he said was he was not going to have a new year. So,
I
I
have
will
it
throw
down.
Joe under the bus.
I can
But-
actually see Joe on Friday.
Right, so I think what I also want from the support from the board is you guys, so when when I'm scheduling, when I tell people, no, you can't have this space, I want to make sure that I'm back by the board. I'm trying my best to get everybody in where they can.
Well, in that regard.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You have our back.
We're
We have your back.
Once a month, and when I'm in there signing stuff, and that's it.
Nate, you had something, Jeff?
Yeah, with the mention of the annual visiting of these applications here, is all of this money, is this all on the table? Is there a way for us to audit or see what kinds of funds any given program is actually raising?
So the travel basketball was not a profit-driven model. This is a profit-driven model that was presented to us, and she also didn't include what the profit is.
She said a cost per student,
Did she?
on the average student. So, there was, I think it was in there. I think it ended up being pretty close to what the other one was, $140. So, 2 classes, we just,
So
it's just hard. And I'm sorry I've kept this on the agenda to the board. The community that has to sit here and listen to this, I apologize, but.
that was the art class was 140 for the week. But
It's only a week.
I have no idea how much the gymnastics is, so we didn't ask them.
And I think that was on there, what she said. Maybe I missed it. No, we need to ask that, but, I mean, if it's not a free class being offered to the students of the school,
Right.
or if the teachers aren't taking some kind of exercise class and we need them, you know.
So there's not,
Yeah, it's tough. I mean,
And I do think Melissa Davis, our music teacher, does music classes, but she doesn't charge for them.
no,
It's because of this class, so she just offers them free. Kids come in early,
That's fantastic.
most days a week.
that,
And that is her own choice. She did that by choice. She still wanted to be able to do it, but didn't want to be able to, didn't want to have to go and do insurance and do all that.
I mean, I'd rather see the school being used if somebody wanted to say, hey, you know, I'm a teacher and I have free time and, you know, maybe once a week I'll offer tutoring in the cafeteria. Then, okay, it's a waiver.
So you're drawing a line in the sand.
I've been trying to draw this line for a while, I just found out what trigger. I just have an issue with somebody running a business in our school, that's all. And when I'm looking at people here, I know we have this very small stipend, it's difficult, only 1 or 2 here and there, but this is all year going, and we're gonna see this happen. That's already started, and we're less than a year already. And we had 2 travel teams that wanted to go, not just one, right? So, and then now we have gymnastics, and which is, I think it's a great program, I'm not trying to get a program, but now she's already talking about, because she did, was it volleyball or something?
That was a club, so
Okay,
that's,
so-
you have to be very careful about separating
Right, so there's the
school
club.
clubs and stuff that I control, and the other facilities that I just described.
We saw this coming last year, and I was hoping we wouldn't see what happened, and it did. That's hard. And then I made sure I tried to get in here once or twice a week to see how Cindy was doing, how they should schedule. She did a great job of scheduling. We didn't anticipate the gym floor to be ripped apart, but, you know, again, it's not part of the issue as far as this one.
The work's already wear on it.
Right, exactly.
so what changes would you like to see?
I think we need to find a way where there is a fee. And I mean, it's legal.
Well, I mean,
so
they're
I don't
right,
know.
as of right now, the policy has a fee and we're waiving it.
Well, no,
We waived
we're,
it for
we're,
one
we're
organization.
categorizing them, so
Correct.
they're in a fee-less category.
And
Yes.
So we're pulling in.
the way it's listed is somebody,
This is,
Kevin and I can turn around and say, you know what, we're gonna offer organic produce farms, you know, to our children for a more green science class or something. And we could sit right in that seat, turn around and say, you know what, we wanna use this cafeteria. Or we're gonna charge the parents or the children of this class to do this. and him and I go out to dinner. It's none of our business here what they make. It's hard for me to, I mean, I get it, I think it's a great opportunity, so we're giving stuff to the children, but in these cases, they're not, right? So it's a fine line, it's been bugging me since last year,
So,
because I didn't want to have to separate that.
let me ask, Cindy, if I can ask you another question. One of the more recent changes we made was not allowing the facility to book out more than 60 days in advance. Has that worked better for you, or is that, I mean,
I think that's fine.
is that a good change, or is that, okay?
That worked pretty well.
And the question as we're doing this is, I don't know if other buildings, like other schools, do they rent out, so if you've got somebody that's booking for 12 months out of the year, they're across 4 days a week, is that a different category? Do they have a different lower rent because you're in a school, but almost,
And
I don't know what other buildings do.
the fees.
Well, I mean, but it's not the fee that's, it's not the amount of the fee that's ever an issue, it's the fee that's an issue. So it's not like they're saying, well, can I have it for $25 an hour? They're just saying they don't want to pay the fee. So I mean, it's not the fee that's the issue, it's a fee that's an issue.
And the travel, I don't have a problem with travel, because it wasn't a moneymaker, they were there for the kids to be more experienced in that kind of sport, that's great.
So we have the, do you have any changes to the actual policy? Are we discussing people who have applied for waivers?
I think it comes down to the policy as
I
well,
would-
because we need to add it in.
What are we changing on the policy?
Give me a tweak, and I think it's just honestly to do what you're trying to do, Shelley, and I'm looking at these right now, would be to, when we look at the user groups and how they're categorized with the A, the B, the C, the D groups, I think honestly, we just need to look at how we categorize the groups. So that being said, I think you could, any group, very quickly, give me 1 second. I think you enforce the fees on all groups that are not A or B groups.
And the A and B would be more like,
Yeah, we still have the ability to waive in the event that, whatever, but. Groups.
So could someone send me proposed language before the next meeting? Like, bring?
It's right here, Shelley.
that's my,
So is there any action that you'd like to take on the actual policy tonight?
I'll put the verbiage in.
Okay, so
But I mean, keep on note, we have 2 people, is it 2?
we have the art camp, which is a profit model, and we have gymnastics, which is a profit.
So
We have a question from the travel team, which is a not making a profit, but not a non-profit.
So I guess one
And
one tweak would be that
Right.
anybody looking to use the facilities needs to come before the board and renew.
Yeah, it's correct. That needs to be the verbiage in there. So there needs to be renewal, when they come back again and
Yeah.
just reapply.
Yeah.
And if Mr. Scheimer was in, so, if he wants it, then he needs to come back to the board, give us an explanation on exactly what is it,
Needs to
skills
have
and
a
drills, is it
conversation
once a
again.
week? What is he anticipating
And
from
that
maintenance?
being said, as far as travel basketball is concerned at the moment, I would say that this isn't what he's asking for now is something that we initially agreed to. So I would say that his course of action is to come on back and have a conversation.
Is it different?
That would be what I would think is the appropriate course of action.
That way we can at least keep track of it, and then,
And, I mean, do you agree with
I
that?
agree with that, and I also think that one of the issues that we ran into was the key cards. So people that have access to this building on the weekends, so I think somehow that has to be addressed, I'm not quite sure, because travel basketball use Joe's,
yeah,
so then like holding whoever's accountable, like, oh,
And
was
I'm-
it them, was it Joe, was it?
that would still be the same thing.
Completely not
We,
in
I
favor
think we
of
said no
that
to that.
at all. I mean, if it's your key card, it's your key card. It's not your key card to pass around to.
Right, he
Yeah,
was,
we said no to that last time, didn't we?
but I think before that, the
We
Parks and
said
Rec
that
was.
Parks had to take responsibility for.
So I
So
think we need to issue Parks and Rec their key card
They have-
Yeah.
for Joe. If Joe has his key card, that's Joe's key card.
Yeah.
Right, but if Joe says no, to me, it's not up for discussion, it's not, because it's on weekends, right, or is it during school?
During child basketball's weekend, so now there's more
I'm-
availability.
I'm just, And if we need to, I don't know if we need to act on this earlier, my opinion is if it's your key card, it's your key card. It's not your key card handout. So, not to share and pass around and everything else, because I don't like, that's not right.
I agree.
Well, it sounds like we have,
Or do we need to have Parks and Rec?
it sounds like it would be a worthwhile meeting next time to have Joe come, to have a discussion with the people who are asking for waivers, and to have the verbiage for what you want to have done. So we can, unless we're making changes on this now, we should move on.
Who's gonna invite Joe?
Cindy?
Do
Okay.
I'll ask.
We can just put him on the, we'll just put on the email, but he can cover the agenda, but do we, I know, I'll talk to him Friday.
Okay, so policies, the rest of the policies, any action on the rest of the policies, or waiting for next time? Waiting for next time. Okay, we are now on to information items. Okay, citizens, staff comments.
My only comment, I said it before when we were talking about this, I feel badly because I think Joe's misrepresented with the gymnastics thing. So just be very, please ask the right questions.
I think
Okay, because I don't want him feeling like we just said, no, he just dropped this program. I don't believe that's what it was. He dropped an extended program.
I think I would actually just talk to Joe and Parks and Rec Commission.
I just want to make that clear because I will get with him.
Sure.
I'm going to do it as a citizen. I just want to go on record to thank Peter Menard for his service and his time and energy on the school board and in the town for everything that he and his family has done. And I know all of you have appreciated it, but we didn't have time to verbalize it on record, so that's it.
Thank you.
Anything?
Please. Because I'm sort of following along last year, one of the things I noticed is that the draft policies aren't available. Not available online, not available in print form in the meetings, I can't find them anywhere. And to have it on the agenda for discussion, it should be open for citizens' comments. Certainly some of these policies are of interest to a lot of people, and or you should be reading verbatim what the policy is being discussed. You should move waiving the reading if you've got printed copies for people that need media. But otherwise, nobody really knows other than what the title and what's there. The only other thing I'm curious about is why would we contemplate spending money to record in this room when the town already spent that money and is making it handicapped accessible as we speak, and all the other meetings meet there. So that seems like a little bit of good money after that. But if we go back to 6, because with all due respect, I still don't think the board has transparency on what I think 49.6% people are saying. We're not against standardized tests. We're against that test. We're against that test for a lot of reasons. And I understand that this school district does not want to make the stand, tell the state, no, we're not doing it. Even though legally I think we have the right to read through what the state college should do. And you don't want to do that, that's fine. But if you really want to make a good faith effort, you notify people that they have the right to refuse their kids' participation. You just put it out once every year and say, by the way, this is an option, make your own decision. You don't say for or against, you just say it. I'm really nervous about PACE. PACE is not, the people that are against Common Core and Smart Balance aren't looking for PACE. It's my opinion that PACE is downshifting onto the local school districts, that which the state is sick of getting flack for, which is Smart Balance. I hear a lot of pronouns, but I don't know who they are, right? There's a lot of use of the words them and they. And we're told that whatever local assessment we come up with has to be approved, and that's like a them, right? So who is that? I'm really concerned about the process. And I voiced that as soon as I saw PACE several months ago on the agenda. So we've applied into PACE, and the state has accepted us. Are we legally obligated, are we now in PACE? Have you guys made that decision simply by allowing the application to be approved to go forward? That's an important question to ask. So are we in? Let's say we're not in, and we choose to go in, and you choose to do the first year professional development. Can you exit after you enter? Right? So you do the first year of professional development, and the teachers say, look, after Common Core, after Smart Balance, after all these changes, because that's what we heard in testimony at the public hearing, was, boy, we could use some time to just catch our breath, right? And now we're talking about driving this potentially very hard. So if you go in, can you come out? And if you come out, what's the method for that? I know the state is selling this as this is really local control. This is really what the opposition is asking for. Please allow me to bring people in, give them 30 minutes, let them just present for 30 minutes the counter argument, just food for thought, just so you can hear it and digest it. The board really goes to the state as the point of information, and they're driving the agenda. Dr. Barry has promised the feds that PACE is going to be rolled out in New Hampshire. That's how they got the waiver for No Child Left Behind. There's a lot going on, and we should be very careful, I think, before we go into a pilot program. So, and time is short. We're in April, so if we're going in for the first step next year, that's in just a couple of short months. Right? So to pull together a parent forum, what that's going to look like. Is that a presentation? Is that Q&A? Is that the state? Is that going to be pro and con? Is that just going to be pro? That all has to be worked out. I would strongly encourage all of you to really do your homework before we get too far down the PACE road, because the last thing you want to do is go full in on PACE, find out the public doesn't want it, and the state says, no, you've made the deal, you're in. You really should be careful on that. I can't overstate it. So, thank you.
All right. Any other citizens? Staff comments, excuse me. Non-public session, we need non-public?
We do.
All right, where's the language for it?
Mr. Chairman, just a point of order.
You can't do it in order, I'm sorry.
Can I just ask a quick question? The people who are going to resign or get appointed, is that public session or non-public session?
Yes.
Any personnel matter would be discussed in non-public, but when we come out of non-public, we will vote to accept the resignations. And the names would be public at that point.
So they're all resignations?
Not in the nomination list to nominate teachers for contracts for next year. You will.
Do you have the language for the RSA? I'm supposed to have it right here. All right, per RSA 91-A:3, 11.
Roman numeral 2.
Roman numeral 2.
Small letter C.
Need to have a motion to go into non-public.
I move we go into non-public session.
Second. We need a motion and a second. We need a roll call. Nate? Here. And you need to say yes.
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 Yes. As of 8:36, we are now in non-public. Someone needs
You gonna tell us that it?
We will be.
Okay.
Who was the second?
Zach and Shelley.
Okay. And you guys want me to leave?
Yep, you're good to go.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
We're on.
Cookies eating.
We are coming out of non-public session at 9:15. No actions were taken in non-public. So next on our agenda, appointments and Resignations.
So I'd like to place the teachers in the administration in for nominations for contracts for next school year, as amended.
I move as amended.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Unanimous. Resignations. We have three or four resignations?
3 and 1 retirement.
3 resignations and 1 retirement.
Isn't Jackie a retirement? Oh, yeah, sorry.
So we have 4 resignations?
So we added 1.
3 resignations
Yes, I
and 2
counted, I'm
retirements.
sorry, I was incorrect in my counting.
Should we talk about who they are?
Sure.
We have, with great regret, our assistant principal, Brian Grieve, is leaving us at the end of the year, which we are all sad about. Adam Friend will be leaving first grade. Rachel Carlson will be leaving the music department. Maria Nee is retiring, and who's the other?
Jackie Beal.
Jackie Beal is retiring. What's the wish of the board?
That we accept
As asked.
as asked.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anything else for tonight?
We need to address the vacancy on the board.
Okay.
So we move that we will post an opening, we will ask for letters of interest, we will hold a public review, and then accept in.
There's a motion on the floor.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion for the replacement of Peter Bernard on the school board? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. And
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Do we have a time frame on that before the next meeting next week? Or is this going to happen next month?
Would you like me to have the interviews at your next meeting, at the
Yes.
beginning of the meeting?
Possible, yes.
Okay, I'll get that posted right away.
Remove.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 9:20 on Wednesday night, April 6th.